Hey, welcome back or welcome to. My name is Melissa and I just started my GLP-1 Zepbound journey last week. So this week we're doing a recap video. Just my thoughts and feelings, impressions, overall, what happened that week. If you're interested in that sort of thing, go ahead and leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. And other than that, let's go ahead and get started. So I took my first Zepbound shot, the 2.5 milligram, last Tuesday. So today is Tuesday, so that officially marks 1 full week. I noticed initially when I first took it, pretty much immediate effects. I don't know if that's just like kind of like the placebo method, like being that I wanted it to work, it worked super quickly, but for me, I did notice quite a difference in like the amount of food that I was able to tolerate and kind of like what I was eating overall in the first few days. And also recognizing that food noise, that constant like thinking about food or imagining like what I'm doing for dinner or doing for lunch or breakfast or whatever, that seemed to kind of dull down a bit. It didn't like completely go away, but it did seem to be quieter. I also noticed that my blood sugars have improved. I was just taking a look at my Dexcom now, and I'll put that somewhere on the screen, but overall time in range is 47%, which is, I mean, honestly good for me. And then I did have a change in low blood sugars where I wasn't getting any low blood sugars at all. My low blood sugars were about 11% of the time in the last weeks. So just meaning that my blood sugars had dropped low about 11% of the time. And then I had 15% very high blood sugars, which I don't know exactly what that means on Dexcom. I'll have to look at that or research that a little bit further. If I do find out information, I'll post somewhere in here. And then I think my highs, I can actually, oh no I can't because I'm recording on my phone. I think my highs were about 22% of the time I was in the high range, and then about 15% of the time I was in like very high range. So I'm assuming that means like over 400, because my Dexcom will only read up to 400. So I'm assuming anything over 400 is that very high mark, but I'm not 100% sure, so I'll have to look into that. But yeah, overall, the first few days, I felt great. I was eating less food. I made sure that I was doing all the GLP-1 things. I've been researching this for months, probably even a year. So I made sure to get my water intake in, my fiber, my protein, all that stuff. Prioritizing mostly protein and fiber, because I know protein's a really big thing for a lot of people. They say to prioritize that, but I also wanted to make sure to get fiber in because I didn't want to wind up with constipation issues. I did experience some constipation this week, not a whole lot, but slight. So that is something to take into consideration. So overall, the first few days I was feeling good. I did have some issues with some low blood sugars. Not too bad though, not to the point where I needed glucagon or anything like that. I do have I believe they're called Gvoke pens, and so they're like individualized glucagon. They work similar actually to the Zepbound shot, where it's a one dose kind of thing and you plunge it in. So I got the Gvoke pens basically for other people that are not diabetic and would potentially need to give me the shot because I'm unconscious or out of it or whatever. And so I've trained my fiance, luckily, to give me that shot, just in case. But anyway, luckily we haven't needed that yet, so fingers crossed that continues to stay that way. So I would say for me, around day 3 or 4, I noticed that the effects of the medication were kind of starting to wear off a bit, and I don't know if that's just because I'm on a lower dose or if that's just how it works, but I did notice probably around day 4 I was starting to hear that food noise a bit louder again. I was starting to eat more than I had the previous days, and I also noticed, especially like the last 2 or 3 days, that those bursts of energy that I had in like the first couple days of taking the shot, I was experiencing like very like high fatigue. I don't know exactly where that's coming from, if that's coming from the injection or it's a combination of other things. I did look into if fatigue is a symptom a side effect of Zepbound, and it can be a side effect of a GLP-1, but typically it's for higher doses. So as you go up on it, people have reported, that they can feel fatigue, but not usually for like a low starter dose, like a 2.5. The other thing that Google had mentioned was that it could be a shift in my blood sugars, that because maybe my blood sugars were starting to get down into more of a normal range, that could be what is causing me to feel very tired. I still don't know to this day exactly what's causing my fatigue. I am trying to make sure that I'm keeping up with my water and my fiber and protein and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm still, even today, I'm still feeling pretty groggy and out of it. So the big thing that I'm sure everyone is curious about is, did I lose weight this week? And the answer to that is yes, actually. I wasn't really expecting to lose any weight, and I didn't lose a ton, so don't get super excited. Don't freak out yet. But I did lose 2 pounds. I went down from 317 to 315. So 2 pound loss in a week. That's not bad. I'll take it. I'm not really expecting to lose a ton of weight, at least in the beginning. I think as my dose goes up, I might actually start to see that. Right now, I'm kind of just trying to get used to it and see kind of how it affects me overall. I haven't had any of the really bad GI side effects, so no nausea, no vomiting, no diarrhea, light constipation, but nothing that's not manageable for me. I think what I might do sometime in the near future is I might get some like fiber gummies or some sort of daily fiber that I can take, just in case I'm not getting enough from like my food sources or whatnot. I'll at least have that to take to kind of help combat that in the future. I would say overall, the biggest thing I probably struggled with this week was dealing with my relationship with food, and this is something that I'll have to continue to figure out and get better at as the weeks go on. So my biggest struggle this week has been kind of getting, I guess, mixed messages as far as like hunger cues and food intake and all that. My first few days it was pretty easy. Like I said, the food noise pretty much, it wasn't non-existent, but it dulled down quite a bit. After the first few days, let's say by like day 4 or 5, I started noticing that I was eating more, and I was going into the fridge a lot, and I was going to the pantry a lot more, even though like I had just eaten maybe a couple hours before. And I don't know if that's just because it's like old habits coming back in, where I'm like, oh, I should eat again, or oh, I'm hungry again, or you know, eating when I'm not really hungry or really sure that I'm hungry. So I think it's still gonna take some time for me to adjust to that, and kind of learning my body, and understanding like when I'm actually hungry, when a good time to eat is, not just eating out of boredom or because, you know, I feel like I should, that sort of thing. And I know the Zepbound should help with that, but I also think it's on me too, again, to just learn my body and eat when I'm hungry, and eat until I'm full, and not just eating until I'm full, but like eating until I'm full like the first time, not like eating until I'm full and then like overeating, like pushing past that point. Because I don't know about you guys, but I definitely would do that. Like my brain will tell me like, oh yeah, I'm full, but then I'll eat more, and I'm like, why did I just do that? Now I feel like I'm stuffed and I'm gonna like be sick or something. But yeah, this week has been tough. Again, the first few days were great, and overall I did lose 2 pounds this week, so I'm doing something right. Am I doing everything right? Probably not, but it's just week 1 in this process for me, so I still have a long way to go and a lot to learn, that is for sure. I'm hoping that the next week will go even better, and hopefully I won't have as much fatigue as I've been feeling the last few days. But overall, I'll say I'm happy. I'm still excited. I'm happy to be on Zepbound. I will take another injection today. I took my last injection around 3 p.m. so I'll probably stick to that same timeline, just because that way it's, you know, it's easy for me to remember. I already have it set up in my calendar to take it every Tuesday. But yeah, that's all for me. I do have some clips that I took throughout the week that I'll probably just throw in at the end of this video here, just to show you that I'm trying to vlog, but I've been out of practice for a while, so I'm not quite used to it yet, but we'll see, hopefully as time goes on. If you guys have any comments or suggestions, anything to do with GLP-1, weight loss, anything like that, any recipes would be absolutely fantastic. Leave those down below for me. Other than that, I will catch you guys all in the next one. Bye!